really enjoyed my trip to the Fernandina. Well, anybody seen any good movies lately?
Yeah.
Tim, you read any good books?
No.
Anything new with corn?
Oh yeah, corn. Oh yeah, Jim, you bet. Corn.
Come a running boys, don't you hear the noise? Like the thunder in the sky. How it rolls along in a good old song. On the summer of Nebraska. Now it's coming near, and rise and cheer. And I'll sweep all balls away. With all our vim, we're bound to win. And we're going to win today. In the days of old, Johnny Vanderbilt would just take that ball in hand. And with Benedict right in front of him, they would set sail for the land. Then Tom Digger too, with the chosen few, would be around everywhere. And before they quit, they would calmly sit down behind that goal post there. For Nebraska and the Scarlet, for Nebraska and the Green, though they go through many battles, our colors still are sing, and so it was in history. You gave them your team, and we'll always do a Cornhusker, the Scarlet and the Green.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Matt.
Welcome back. I'm Jimmy.
We are two average guys, and today we have with us long-term cheers. There you go. We have Marty Likes to Party trivia team. So they get to join us today because they like to party and they also beat us at trivia. So we welcome them on the show as our first guests of the year. Always good to have fans on the show. Obviously, the ex-athletes are a lot of fun as well, but getting fans of football, not just the Huskers, on the show is always a good time as well. So, guys, welcome. Why don't you go and introduce yourselves, your name, and who your favorite team is?
All right, I'll start. Marty, who likes to party, and
Makes sense.
for all the Husker fans, I'm a OU fan, so Boomer Sooner.
Sorry about that.
All right.
My name's Wayne, and I'm a Michigan fan.
That's unfortunate as well, but that's all right.
I'm Tim. I like Nebraska.
There we go.
I'll leave Notre Dame out of it for now.
He's also a Notre Dame fan, and we can
Yeah.
give him grief later. Feel
You said
free to.
Nebraska first, so
I did.
we'll take it.
I did.
We'll allow it. So, welcome on the show, guys. So, yesterday was a pretty fun day for Husker fans. And I think for Nebraska as a whole to come out and win a game we're supposed to win to start the season is something we haven't done since 2019.
Well, and not only that, but we've won games, but we haven't looked like a football team, like a consistent, decent team.
We haven't won
For
40-7.
For years, every time we win a game like that, it feels like it's going into the third quarter tied, or we're barely up, or maybe even down. But it felt different. It felt like old times. It felt
Felt a
like
lot different.
10 years ago.
So I'll start with the Husker fan, Tim. What was your overall impression of the game? How'd you feel?
It felt like what should happen is what actually happened. And to piggyback on the points you both just made, like, that hasn't happened in a long time. But like, everything felt like nothing felt rushed. Everything felt like it was like on schedule and on time.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that in a while. And to your point, when we got stuck on 2nd and 30 on our first drive, I don't know when the last time that happened to us, where we then went 2 completions, first down, and then still scored.
It's a really good point.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, they're moving us back. Here we go. Let's see, kind of see what Dylan's made of. See if he can get us out of this. 'Cause in years past, 2nd and 30, we were not a chance. Not when we're running the ball the whole game.
Well, we would run it twice and just accept
Yeah.
that, hey, we're not going to get a first down.
Or we'd throw a deep ball and it would either be intercepted, or it would just kind of be a throwaway. Or take a sack, or scramble, throw
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
So, Wayne, what about you? What are some takeaways you liked of the game?
I would say
Even as a Michigan game.
So
like-
it's funny because like I've grown to having I like Nebraska football since I've lived here, and it was probably the most complete game I've ever seen since I've lived here. Like all phases of the ball. Offense looked great. Freshman quarterback looked like that, making very good throws down the field, completing passes. The run game was there, and the defense was good. It was one of those things where I'm also a Lions fan, so It was like I'm used to the stupid penalties. Maybe not as of late, but it was like there were no like shooting yourself in the foot moments in the game, which I was like, okay, they made this may be a good season just because there was not out of the gate. You know, you have some hiccups and things like that because a lot of teams are fumbled snaps and things like that yesterday, but yeah, you didn't see that in the Nebraska game, so that was super refreshing to see just as an as an onlooker on the game.
Yeah, I mean, disciplined football, and that's what you can ask for. Protect the football, play disciplined football, win the turnover battle, no stupid mistakes, and I think Nebraska accomplished all those things yesterday, which they haven't done, even in a first game, second game, third game. Like, it's like it takes us 6 games to get our wheels turning, and that didn't happen yesterday, so that was very good points, Wayne.
Well, and I know it's a bit of a lesser opponent, but teams like that seem to come into Nebraska and win or push us around a little bit. And, you know, that first quarter felt like that for a minute. You know, we had 4th down, we don't throw to the, you know, don't even throw beyond the sticks, so we're short. 1 lapse in defense, 63 yards. That was, I mean, they only had 200 yards. 3 plays, 63 yards, touchdown. That's really the only lapse we really had all game. That, for a second, kind of felt like it had in the past, but we turned it around real quick after that.
100%. Marty, what about you? Any takeaways?
So I've been to a lot of Husker games, being an Oklahoma fan.
Oh, yeah.
My wife is a diehard, anxiety-ridden Husker fan.
Every time. She should have been here. Bring her on.
She wanted to. She felt kind of under the weather.
Okay.
But every time that it was the line was holding the defense, that was the biggest takeaway I saw. That's the only thing I was looking at. For the offense was the offensive line. Mm-hmm. They did their job correctly.
Right. I saw.
Doesn't happen as much as from being in the games, watching the games. The pocket was open. The timing for Raiola to actually make a complete pass was, I think, outstanding. So whatever he did with that lineman, I think he's doing perfect with that.
Yeah, I saw a picture on Twitter that was like, when was the last time the pocket looked like this? And Raiola was standing, and there's like nobody within 10 yards. And I'm like, I know who. Again, it's a lesser opponent, but even then,
or even
look like that.
A wide open hole for a run game. I was like, they're actually moving there, opening up the part in the sea right now. So absolutely. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that coming into this year. You know, our offensive line improved a lot last year. The year before was like, oh my God, can you guys stop holding? Very undisciplined, stupid false starts.
Ben was really bad.
And then last year really got their feet under them. They did better. Still made some poor decisions, but overall much better. So I'm thinking this year they're improved. They're playing together again, a lot of the guys, and it showed yesterday because they worked as a unit. They didn't make stupid penalties. Again, they didn't shoot themselves in the foot, which we see over and over again. And I think that just allows your offense to stay in a groove to where, hey, we just gained 25 yards on this great pass. Oh, we have a holding or a legal man downfield. Boom, now we got to come all the way. That just deflates your offense. We didn't have any deflating plays yesterday. That just killed us. We had 3 penalties, 35 yards.
Well, and too, you know, there were times when Dylan threw it away. You know.
He threw it away. You're supposed to throw the ball away when you get pressure?
Throw the ball away.
Or you don't have a guy open?
Yeah, I mean, he took a sack, but it wasn't, in the past you've seen guys hold on to the ball a little bit too long, either throw it away or keep it, and it was better to see that yesterday. For sure.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Raiola. So true freshman coming into the game, first time stepping on the field. He's got his uncle on the sideline for our offensive line coach, which before we go into Dylan, let's talk about Donovan, what he's done. So he came in from the Bears. The Bears were awful. Their offensive line was garbage. Everyone's like, Donovan? Like, why are we bringing him over? That was a horrible hire. After the first year, people were like, he needs to go. Even after last year, some people thought he was going to go too. And I'm like, he's coming into his 3rd year now. His nephew's committed. He's got another nephew, Dylan's brother, who's like 15, and they're already looking at him. Apparently he's better than Dylan.
He's a lefty. He can sling too.
So I'm really curious to see what happens there. But Donovan's done an amazing job with that offensive line, working as a cohesive unit. So I'm excited about what we've seen there. But if we look at our highlights for Raiola, he was 19 to 27, 238 passing yards and 2 TDs. Again, no turnovers, no fumbles. I mean, look at last year. What happened to our very first game against Minnesota last year? Who was our quarterback? Jeff Sims. What did he do? Yeah, Butterfingers. Couldn't hold on the ball.
Threw an interception in the end zone to end the first half.
Yeah,
instead of
3
getting
fumbles.
points. Can't remember how many fumbles he had, but I know he had a couple of
We had 5 turnovers.
in that first game last year.
Yeah, I think 3 of them were fumbles and 2.
I think he might have had 2 fumbles and 2 or 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
And we lost the game by 3.
So ball protection was much better. And again, he didn't do anything stupid. He didn't. As a freshman, you expect some hiccups.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say there was any hiccups. He threw some tight coverage balls, but nothing that was like, oh man, like why did he do that?
Yeah.
There was a lot of that I saw. A lot of maybe, what was it, 3-man covered?
Yeah.
At least twice maybe, or was it there that he was covered just a little bit, but he was able to break
Well, I know
out?
what you're talking about. He tried to fit one into a tight window. Over the
Yeah.
middle.
Very tight.
And I mean, if you're good enough to feel like you can do it, sure. But also, like, that's the kind of thing that we try and do, and that is, it's either an interception because we just threw it to someone else,
Yeah.
Right.
or it just bounces off of somebody's shoulder pads,
Yeah.
helmet, whatever, and it ends up being a turnover.
Yeah, I think.
Where for that, I'm like, he's accurate enough to be able to. If it isn't a completion, like he still got it into the window where
Yeah.
it got knocked down and it didn't just kill us.
Yeah,
Well,
he
and
did. He
there was
did throw
one-
another one where it actually went through the guy's hands, like
Right.
at his head. I'm like, man, like he probably should have caught that, but it was into like triple coverage.
Yeah.
It was a perfect pass. He threw it right
Well,
where
and
he
he
needed
had
to.
one that was, I think, maybe double coverage, and I think it might have been Nayor. Like,
Yep.
kind of turned and caught it. And so, I mean, sometimes that's going to have to be, maybe he threw it there,
Yeah.
into double coverage, but he threw it where he could get it into a tight window.
Yep. But nice thing about freshmen is you learn that in film. You go to the film room after the game next day. Today they're watching film and they're like, all right, now what's wrong with this? He should be able to point out, well, I didn't see this guy, or that's why I threw it there, or I thought this is the
I
route.
missed
that he-
Banks up the middle for a touchdown at one point.
Yeah.
If I was him
Vision.
going through film today, I would say, hey, Nayor, I know you caught 2 touchdowns, or a touchdown.
Yeah.
Had quite a few yards, but he should have caught a touchdown on that first drive that went through his hands.
Is that the deep ball?
He is a deep
Yeah.
ball. He didn't dive
Yeah,
for it,
yeah.
but it went through his hands. Could you imagine if that would have been
Oh.
he still scored a touchdown, but we had a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
That would have been Dylan's first touchdown pass on the first drive, long ball.
100%.
That place would have blown up, which obviously it did when he threw the long ball, on the next one or whatever. But
Yeah, but I think I thought as a freshman he was very poised.
Yes.
He didn't look nervous. I'm sure his heart was pounding like crazy, but he looked like a quarterback coming in there ready to compete.
Very confident.
Yeah.
Got a lot of
those were
confidence.
very confident throws. So
Yeah, very.
he had a
Yes.
Mahomes like
Even it was sidearm.
I saw that.
that was like 3rd and 11.
Yeah.
And it went for like 13 to 15 yards, something like that. That was crazy.
Now, if you get a chance to watch that replay of that throw from behind him, the fact that he hit the receiver in stride, that I said that was Mahomes type throw only because he threw a sidearm, but like that's an experienced quarterback
Yes.
throw.
Yeah.
That's not something very many guys are going to make, even that are experienced, to make that on the dot like he did. So that was impressive. for
Right,
him.
if you see
on
it
a third
from
and 11.
behind on like kind of slow mo, it's like,
Unbelievable.
oh wow, he hit him in stride, whatever. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this.
Like talking about like an experienced quarterback type of play, the long run that Emma Johnson had
Yeah.
from right about at the 50, where when we came out, whatever he saw, he checked into something else, and then he
100%.
made another adjustment, and then checked back into whatever else he had done already, and then that result. I mean, it takes like there's like 20 seconds of him just like making calls out
Yeah.
of the line of scrimmage, and it was quiet enough where like you could hear him saying things the whole time.
Yeah.
But then it results in like we go left and we break the long run to get down inside the 5.
100%.
That's not the kind of thing you expect to see like out of a true freshman, but to like have the confidence and like be relaxed to be able to just like know like, this is what I'm seeing and this is what we're gonna do. It speaks volumes about like, his poise and everything.
I like that, and kind of going off of that, you didn't see a lot of first down, second down, hand the ball off for a yard.
Yep.
Hand the ball off for 2 yards, and now you're looking at 3rd and 7. How many times have we talked about it over the years, Matt? Like
All the time.
we hand the ball off, and then maybe we hand the ball off and we get a first down, and then we hand the ball off and run the exact same play again for no yard, no gain
Yeah.
or 1 yard, and it's like I didn't really see much of that yesterday.
Our play calling was good. Our play calling, we switched up enough.
But I think that also goes into your confidence in your team and where they're at to be able to, okay, we can open up the playbook, we can try some different things and have confidence that they're going to execute it is something that it's night and day from last season. I'll just say that it's refreshing.
Well, and we've been more one-dimensional.
Yes.
And so we could do pretty much, when we ran the ball, we looked good. When we threw the ball, we looked good because we had a balanced enough attack. So where we had a handful of different running backs you could bring in there, and a handful of different receivers. We're not locked into one guy in the backfield, one guy, targeting on one guy in the receiver. So it's nice.
Very nice. It was refreshing. Then you look at, and I look at the last 2 years. Again, we lost to Minnesota last year. Again, tons of turnovers last year. We lost Northwestern and Ireland the year before. Both games, we had the lead. We should have won the game, and we didn't. And I compare those two teams, Northwestern, Minnesota, to a Utep, because those teams were not good, and we should have beat them like we beat Utep, in my opinion.
Even Illinois the year before, because maybe 2 years before, but we were winning that game, and Martinez had a fumble that they took back for a touchdown, and it changed the complete narrative of the game from that point on.
Absolutely. So we didn't have that, and then we see Harburg come in at the end of the third quarter, 4 minutes left or so. I mean, he was 5 for 5.
Yep.
He didn't have any incompletion, and he was slinging it.
He looked a lot better.
He looked significantly more polished, like as a passer.
Yeah.
Definitely more confident.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which I heard a lot in the offseason about how he was a better passer. They feel confident bringing him in as the number 2, and I'm like, if that's the case, we have 2 guys that can come in and sling it. Like that's a good team to have. And now he's got better receivers too. Then even though he had a couple last year, but now he's got 4 or 5 you can go to. Yeah. So that's always a good thing. So I was happy about our QB play. You look at our running backs. You mentioned Emmett Johnson. He had over 70 yards on the ground. Dowdle had 53 and a TD, and then we had Ramir Johnson with 50 yards and 2 TDs from Irvin Johnson. Over 200 plus yards on the ground. So very balanced attack in the run game. What do you guys like about the run game?
I mean, it was solid. I mean, kind of like what I said from the beginning. Like the offensive line, they're pushing back against a team that you would expect to, but then to actually see that for a brand new season, it's a brand new season here for Nebraska. Oh yeah. So if all of them are going to be doing their job, that's what I like to see. Because as not a huge Husker fan, I always hated seeing a really bad. I would say really shitty offensive line. Really shitty. And it's like, because your offense is only going to do well if you're going to trust your offensive line, and if your offensive line trusts you. Big boys up front are going to change your running, your passing. I think their run style was significantly better just the start of the season. Yep. So
it just looked a lot more like
it looked fresh.
It's like what you want it to look like, and every year we're like, okay,
run
drinking
the damn
Kool-Aid.
ball.
I think that's what it's gonna be, and then it just hasn't been, and it was finally. So
well, I mean,
really nice
even with the incompleted deep ball, it's like okay, then you end up scoring on the run. It's like it's historically it's the bread and butter, and so it's like it's good that you can always go to the run game when you need to, and it's effective, and it's going to get you yards more than one or 2 yards. And yeah, I mean, ball security is important in the run game. So didn't have any problems there.
We had a fumble down inside the 5, which it was helmet on ball. So it stinks, but he had one arm on it. So you're diving. I'm sure they teach you to put 2 arms on it, but he didn't do that.
Well,
but outside of that, because Dowdle was having a great game.
He was having a great game, and Rule stuck to his guns, and he didn't play another snap. And I was like, I'm really curious to see if he's going to stick to his guns on that, and he did. And I mean, the guys behind him were picking it up, but he looked good.
But guess what? Dowdle's going to be out there next game.
He will.
He'll play, and you should. You punish him for the rest of the game. You learn from it, and you go on.
Especially when you have that depth.
Yes.
Dowdle was running hard. He was running hard downhill.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was already at like 50-something yards, and that was relatively early still.
Oh yeah.
When he fumbled.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's refreshing to see that if these are the rules for ball security, we're sticking to it.
Yep.
But we can also do that because everybody's healthy, and everybody stayed healthy through the first game.
That's a good point.
Good for Gabe Irvin.
Yes.
Oh
my God.
He keeps getting hurt in the first game.
Yep.
And that's killed us the last couple of years because he has been the guy that's going to be our big back between the tackles, because Emmett and Ramir Johnson both they don't have the same physical makeup as him.
No,
they're faster than him at everything, but it's kind of like when we had Wandale Robinson and we would line him up as an I-back inside the 5.
Yep.
He's so he was so small. It's hard to just run right at somebody with smaller guys. But so if Dowdle, if he and Gabe Irvin have good seasons, we have so much variety.
Oh, 100%.
From the backfield, and then we can actually really do what we want there.
You know, and that's a good point too. There was something else I was thinking just came to me. You know, when we got like inside the 10, I know he did have the fumble that was that like the 3, which we got the safety off of, which is something that we haven't seen for a long time either. But you know, I said before I think Irvin's one of his touchdowns, I said right here we hand the ball off, we run it right down their throat for a touchdown, at the 5-yard line or whatever. Handed the ball off, went boom right into the end zone. And I was like, that's what we've been missing.
Yeah.
Like we get inside the 10 and we get stonewalled because we haven't been able to get a push,
We weren't getting a
you know,
push.
whatever. And so that was another thing that was refreshing to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think he only had like 4 carries for 8 yards, 2 TDs. So, like, it wasn't a high production for him, but again, coming off another injury last year, season ending, it's like, get him slowly acclimated. You have Ramir Johnson and Emmett that can carry the load. Those 2 guys, I'm really interested to see how we use them out of the backfield catching passes, too.
Yeah.
Because both Emmett and Ramir have the speed to get open in the field. You get a tight end in front of them or a pulling tackle or pulling guard. Heck, those guys can go a long ways on like a screen or something like that. I'm excited to see what kind of wheel routes we do, and that'll be fun to watch.
Because that's what we did with Ramir Johnson in the Michigan game 2 seasons ago.
Yep.
We were there.
We were there.
So he and I were there too. And I was gonna
Well,
say,
before we go on, was that like one of the best games you've ever seen live?
Oh,
it was fantastic.
That was one of the most exciting games, even though
fantastic.
Nebraska lost. That game was so exciting to watch. Just
It was fun.
again, that was the year Nebraska. It's like it didn't matter who you're playing. We're not losing by more than a touchdown.
Yeah.
And so we knew that. I think we lost by like 9. I think it was the final.
3.
Was it 3?
No,
Okay.
we were down by 3 and we had the ball.
That's right. And then we
had
fucking
a
had the
turnover
fumble.
at the
Yeah.
end.
But like that game was exciting. That was one of the most exciting games I've seen in person.
Yeah.
Even though we lost, and I'm like, shit, like Michigan's like a top contender, and not only the Big Ten, they beat Ohio State. They're going to beat Ohio State again. And look at us just go up against them. Like, why can't we do this and win games? And now if we can turn the corner and win those close games, and not worry about, oh man, we got the ball, a chance to win. With 2 minutes left, we're probably gonna have a turnover. Like your mind, hopefully our mind is gonna shift. Like, oh, we have a chance to win, not we're gonna turn it over.
Yeah.
So
that culture.
Yep.
yeah.
Big
That
difference.
was- like that game was the epitome of like how we can best use Ramir Johnson.
Yes.
Because he caught like the long touchdown pass on the wheel route in that game, but then also like he is dynamic running the ball. Like he can get into space and
Yeah.
do something with it. It's like it is exciting. Like if he can stay healthy, like he can be a real weapon.
Oh yeah. And then you look at our receiving game. After a run game, look at receiving game. Isaiah Nair and Jamal Banks are going to be studs. Those 2 guys are going to be good. I mean, great catch in the end zone by Banks. I mean, that was a fantastic catch. Holy cow. Nair, I mean, he stays up after he catches that ball. He almost trips. Able to keep going. That runs out of 15 yards for a TD.
He was better than advertised. He was better than I thought.
And what's funny, well, he's the one who came from Texas.
I
He's
know, but he's
injury
better than I
prone
thought.
to Texas. But what's funny is we didn't see Malachi Coleman. He's still dinged up a little bit. We did not see Boyd. Did he make it? Did he?
No, he played, but
He didn't make an impact.
Yeah, he didn't make an impact.
So, like, but we still have other guys. Isaiah Castaneda on the team is coming back after a season-ending injury. Those guys can
He had
still
good punt
compete.
returns.
He did, and we'll talk about special teams next.
Ja'Cory Barney got it
Yes,
too.
He was
he
great.
did.
Yeah, he was
So we
very
got to
good.
see guys. I saw 108 guys play in the game yesterday.
Bonner had some catches.
108.
That's what I was gonna say.
Which is absolutely insane. So to see our receiving core, be able to produce with the freshman quarterback, they're already gelling a little bit. That was exciting. A little unimpressed with our tight ends as far as the play calling.
Yeah.
a couple of like kind of
swing passes.
swing passes.
There was that
to
one screen
Fedoni that
pass, and
didn't-
then he didn't really gain any yards. Steps
Yep.
right outside
Exactly.
immediately.
Yep.
So I was just like, you win some, you lose some on that. And tight ends with a quarterback. I don't know if Raiola is trying to be like the next Patrick Mahomes in college football and trying to find his Travis
Yeah,
Kelce.
yeah.
Find
But
his Kelce.
it's just
At
like,
least Kelsey gets downfield.
at least he
Right?
gets open and he'll get downfield. But
Yeah.
they'll fix that in the long run. For next game.
And one of my thoughts was, are we not doing much for the tight ends yet? Because we want to do more when it comes to Colorado next week and
Right.
Big Ten play. Because we know what Fedoni is never a side-to-side guy. They've always gone downfield with him. So I thought that was interesting. Borger wasn't really involved much. We got to see Carter Nelson, which is
Nice
pretty
catch.
cool too to get him in. He got a couple catches. So. But I think our tight ends, again, we talked about at the beginning of the year, tight ends, I think we need to utilize our 2 tight end set in the block game and also in the, bump and run type passes that we can. 5-6 yards downfield, nothing crazy.
Yeah. So it's like based off what we saw from Carter Nelson yesterday, like you would think what they did with Fedoni, like just little screen passes
Yep.
up to the side. Like, we would basically do the opposite, where it's like throw that to Carter Nelson.
Exactly.
He looks just more dynamic in space. Fidoni's a much bigger body.
I'm not surprised Carter Nelson's a wide receiver.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised. He doesn't have a tight end size.
And he, my guess is they'll probably put some weight on him, and maybe he'll be tight end in a year or two, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. He seemed like a little bit more shifty.
Yep.
Not as big of a body, but
Yes. Exciting to watch him.
Yeah, it was interesting to see them do lots of side to side, like you were saying with Fidoni, because we haven't done that with him before.
No.
But he's like so sure as a vertical threat.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's like, our wide receivers weren't doing a great job blocking on the outside too, because a couple of those plays we probably could have gotten downfield a few yards, especially the third and 2, whatever, when we ended up going 3 and out. But I feel like I'm interested to see how we utilize the tight ends moving forward. Watching the film and saying, okay, did we mean to do that and hope for something good, or are we just not wanting to show what our tight ends can do yet? I don't know. Kind of interesting, right?
somebody missed an assignment
Yeah.
or something,
Yeah, and it seemed like the wide receivers were very dynamic. The running backs were pretty dynamic. So it was like, is it just like these other groups are just doing a better job in this game, or is it just something that they're not focusing on this year? So like you were saying earlier, with how much do we want to overreact about it? It's like I gotta see more in this set to see like, okay, are they just saying nope, you guys are just doing whatever you want? But I think it's just a.
I was gonna say, I think they probably do. I mean, they opened things up a little bit, but they were probably keeping things a little closer to the vest, before playing Colorado.
Oh yeah.
Not doing too much. I mean, we had some deep balls, but that's just probably gonna be what they do. Dylan can throw it, so they're gonna throw deep balls against everybody.
So special teams, you mentioned Ja'Cory Barney. I mean, I think of special teams, I put just good, and good. Like, everything was good. So we were
minus our first kickoff that went out of bounds.
I don't care about that so much. Not in this game. I don't know why. It's so stupid that happens, but I'm not focused on that because it happens.
That irritated me, but
it's irritating.
It got better.
It did. It got better. Alvano was 1 for 1 on field goals. It was kind of a chip shot, but again, he struggled with some chip shots last year.
He's going to take the short ones.
Yep. So he makes 1 for 1. Good. He makes field. He was smiling afterwards. Great to see.
Confidence.
Ja'Cory Barney had he averaged like 25 yards on the return or something, which we never get it past the 25-yard line on kick returns. Never. And we always bring it out. I'm like, why? If you're not going to get it, but we got it at least to the 20 or at least to the 30 every time. So we had some good kick returns. Our punt returns, I think we averaged about 15 yards on the punt returns or something. So again, not something you see, and that was Garcia Castaneda returning.
I think over the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, since DeMornay Pearsonell, we've
fair catch.
We've fair caught everything because guys were muffing them.
So we had the blocks.
So we literally were just getting somebody back there that could catch the ball,
and then so that was great to see. The returns are great. Then Bushini, our punter, 48.5 yards average on 2 punts. So he had 97 yards punting, which for him, his average last year was like 35.
Yeah,
if that. He had some shanks last year. So he did well too. So again, gaining some of that confidence on special teams against a team that, again, you should be beating, I think was good too. And again, anytime, it's the fundamentals. You're blocking on the punts, you're blocking on the kicks. You're doing those types of things to give your guys the room. It doesn't matter who you play. If you're doing that and you're doing it well, you're going to continue to see those results in every game.
Yeah, I can't say pretty much anything negative about the game. It was a complete game, all phases. It was the best game I've seen in Nebraska.
It was a finished game.
Yes, yes.
All the way through. There was no deflation on either side from offense and defense, even special teams. Yeah. Like our friend Jared, he couldn't make it to this, but he probably would have been spewing a lot of stuff for the special teams, because that's all he was saying. That's all he was saying last season was like, oh, just get ready, Marty. You're going to see special teams. They're going to win the game. I'm like, y'all haven't won.
They lost us.
Teams.
They lost us so many games in the last 5 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
But this time, I think it's baby steps for this season for sure. Just trying to see something new.
I mean, obviously, 47 is great. I mean, you cover the spread. You got a lot of guys in, multiple. I think we had 6 running backs play, however many receivers, 108 different
108
players.
guys.
I mean, in the second half, I was watching with some friends, and I'm like, every single person that's on the field right now is a backup, and it's like halfway through the third quarter. When was the last time that happened?
Yeah. We had Stewart, that interception that Stewart had.
Yeah,
it was
that was
fantastic.
good.
And then Hartzog had a pick as well. So Hartzog,
And he was the one that got burned on the touchdown.
and he was,
made up for
I
it.
mean, he was a step behind on coverage, and when he turned around is when he got lost because he went this way and the ball came this way. So if he would have just jumped straight up, he probably would have intercepted the ball or at least knocked it away. But I think he got lost when he turned his head. But again, that receiver ran a good seam route, and sometimes you can't do anything about it.
It was a good ball.
Yeah, it was a good ball. So overall, my impressions that I wanted to make note of: third downs, 11 of 17.
Fantastic.
I mean, the last time we had probably 17 third downs in a game, if we completed 5 of them, that was like a win for Nebraska. Complete over 50%, especially when it's third and long. And we had not just 3rd and 4, we had 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 11, and we were completing those. Like, to me, that's a game changer.
It's a big step in the right direction.
Because third down the last few years, I'm like, all right, I guess we're going 3 and out, or I guess we're going to have to punt. Like, my confidence level
Or
was...
we would just get enough yards to get a little bit to play field position game. Maybe do a draw or a screen to get a first or get some yardage to play field position.
Yeah. There's
We
never
weren't doing
we're
that
going for
yesterday.
first
We were
down.
going for a first down.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just the ability to extend drives just helps your defense out in that when it gets later in the game because they're not constantly coming back on the field. You're extending drives. It just makes the game a little bit longer for the other team and kind of leaves battle of attrition in that sense. But it's also a confidence boost. It's like, okay, now we got a fresh set of downs. Keep
Yep.
going instead of, oh, we're punting again.
Yeah, and I don't think our defense was super impressive yesterday. Like, it wasn't
They
super
didn't need to
impressive.
be.
They didn't need to be. We had a sack. We had a safety. We had the 2 interceptions. We only allowed 205 yards. I mean, they played sound defense.
Yep.
They didn't need to do anything overly, excruciating on defense to win the game. And so, like, you look for Polar Bear and Robinson to come in with these
And they were
sacks,
great.
and Williams. They all played great games.
they played
You're still
well.
going to go up against D1 linemen.
Yeah.
They're still big dudes. It doesn't matter what school you're at. They're big dudes, and they're usually fundamentally sound as well on the line. So,
And they had a lot of transfer players that were older guys. Too,
absolutely. So
more
it does,
experienced
it's
players.
Utep, but they're still big guys that you got to push around. So they were still pushing the guys back. They didn't have to apply a ton of pressure, stop the run game. Again, I was impressed with how our defense didn't have stupid penalties and played good, sound football on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, everybody was doing their job, and I mean, at the end of the day, nobody needs to. You don't necessarily want anybody to be a hero. If you make plays, you make plays, but just do your sound job, play sound football at the end of the day.
Someone's like, did Tommy Hill even play? I'm like, well, yeah, they're not throwing to Tommy Hill.
No,
they didn't even throw in his direction at all. Like, that just
That's
wasn't
kind of funny.
something-
I guess I didn't really think about that.
I was thinking about midway. I'm like, is Tommy playing? I'm like, he's got to be out there. But Hartzog played a good game again. He's probably one of our guys that's going to get beat more than anybody on defense, if I had to put a guy out there. But I do see he's improved a lot, and he had a good year last year. But he is one of those guys who gets out of coverage sometimes, and he gets a little aggressive. So I'm curious to see next week against Colorado who they pair him up against. We know Hill's going to be on
gotta be on
Hunter,
Hunter.
and then we'll probably have a safety deep on Hunter too, because they're going to go deep. We'll talk about Colorado shortly, but I think Hartzog might be on one of the guys that runs more crossing routes.
Let's wait.
Here, take it.
He's got a refill.
The decision to move him into the slot to play corner is not very much change in the defense at all. That feels like that might rate as maybe the biggest decision or biggest change in the offseason
Yeah.
because he had a great freshman season. He did not play as well last season. But it's if we have other people that can take over on the outside and we don't have to leave him out on an island,
Yep.
and you can bring him in a little bit more where he's got some help and some coverage. Then
Absolutely.
yeah, he doesn't have to go one-on-one on the outside with somebody else's 1 or 2 receiver.
Yeah.
And then that just helps him out. Because even then, he got a little mixed up on the seam route that they scored on, but he redeemed it with the interception later. So it's
100%.
it's just a matter of where they have moved him feels like it's probably the best spot for him to be on the defense.
Oh, for sure. I agree. Yeah, and again, a lot of upside. I think the guy's got a lot of upside to his game. He plays aggressive, which I like aggressive football. Just sometimes on defense, in his position, you got to tailor back the aggressiveness and play smart football. And I think overall our defense played smart football yesterday. Just getting beat once on a long route and a great pass. I mean, anywhere if he puts that pass even just a little bit further to the right, then Hartzog's probably going to intercept it. It was just right in the pocket. I mean, it was a great pass. So, A couple other takeaways. Again, we averaged 7.9 yards per pass, 4.7 yards per rush. Anytime you're getting almost 5 yards per rush, you're going to win football games. You're going to win games. 8 yards per pass. I mean, that's something, again, even against the scrum teams that Nebraska's played, I couldn't tell you last time we saw that type of a balanced offense to help us win a game.
Well, we didn't throw over 200 yards at all last season.
No.
We didn't have a single game that we threw over 200 yards.
And he did his first. That's just so hard to even
And he
think
did it in
about.
like 2.5 quarters.
But you look at our quarterbacks, like, oh, that makes sense. Like, we had 2 quarterbacks that ran the ball more than they passed. One who couldn't even hold on to the damn ball. So it's like, yeah, that makes sense a lot. I really, that's so sad.
Seeing the stats,
Oh,
just the first game of the season, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Well, I got another fun. When we get to Iowa, I got another fun stat. They're out there, but we'll get there in a second. We had 3 penalties, and again, we won the turnover battle. I think those 4 things are what probably Rule and the rest of Husker Nation probably wanted to see.
Yeah,
you
I
see
mean,
those types of things out of your team in a game you should win. You see all the things that should go right. You're excited about the win.
I know Rule said, things were better, but things can still get better.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, every coach is going to say that, but I'm sure he's pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
He's probably pretty proud, but he wants them to progress. Take that next step.
He's also a guy who came into Temple and Baylor, and first year he's like 1-11, 2-10. Next year he's 6-6 and 7-5 or something. He started off in Nebraska with a losing record, but 5 wins on his first year. So he's already essentially in his 3rd year, if you're looking at it from like what he did at the other schools, from a talent perspective, and chance to actually make noise in year 2. So I'm excited to see.
Definitely a lot more talent, in my opinion.
Well, and what happens now is you get people visiting the games like yesterday, and they're going to go to Colorado, they're going to go to Northern Iowa, they're going to go to Illinois, our first 4 home games. You're going to get these recruits coming there, and they see a game like that where you're cohesive, you're playing as one unit. You're going to get more people wanting to come play for you. Because not only is Rule just talking about it, but then the team is backing up what he's saying in the media. Unlike when Scott Frost was so confident in everything he talked about and so confident about his receivers, his quarterback, his special teams, and then you didn't see it on the field. So it's like you just saw smoke and mirrors as a coach. Like, you got to be honest with where things are at. And Rule will tell him, like the video of him shitting on him in practice, and it's like, he's like, Buddha, where are you at? First team guys, you're sitting your ass on the bench after a drive and you're huffing and puffing. You should be out there getting everyone else. Like, he's pissed. I'm like, that's the kind of coach you want. He's pushing our first team guys, second team guys, third team guys are seeing that. And then recruits are going to see that. They're like, I don't want to play for that guy. I want to be on that first team guy because I don't want to get chewed out.
Well, and it was nice to see 108 players play, but it wasn't really like much of a drop off, really, right? I mean, I don't know what their team was doing. They might have been playing a bunch of players too, but it was consistent. Guys were in the right place. We were still running the same, Harvard, a little bit different offense, but we were still consistent on defense. Guys were right there. They were up the line. We were running the ball still just as well.
We played our 4th string quarterback, Grandstad or whatever. That came from Northern Iowa College or something like that. Northwestern Iowa College.
Yeah, he was an like the NAIA Player of the Year last year or something.
Was he at Iowa Western?
I thought he was, but I don't.
The way they typed it in the article was seemed weird. I'm like, I thought he was Iowa Western, but it was like Northwestern Iowa College. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. It's not a college that I know of, but either way.
I was kind of surprised I didn't see Kalen, but
I think you probably see him in Northern Iowa. Probably see him get a chance to play in that game. He might get some other opportunities again. Maybe it's a playbook that maybe he's not quite as up to speed on everything yet, but I thought it was great. I mean, big shout out to Maverick Noonan too. He's a redshirt freshman. Came in and he made that tackle behind the line of scrimmage right when he handed the ball off. Almost tackled the quarterback and the running back, but tackled the running back right away when he got the ball. I mean, that was just a great blitz. It's
gotta be fun for him.
Oh my God! So I've known Maverick since he was about this big. I worked in daycares for a long time, so I knew Maverick when he was about this big in his family. So his dad looks like he probably still put the pads on, but like that family, great family, great parents. So he's in a great spot. I love seeing him out there on the field making that tackle yesterday. So that was good for him. He's a redshirt freshman. Well, anything else on Nebraska football you guys want to touch on before we get into more of our Big Ten football?
Not that I think we touched on all of it. Just interested to see what they do against Colorado. I don't think there will be much of a drop off. I think it's going to be competitive.
Yeah, I think with Colorado, they played Thursday, North Dakota State. Shedeur had this great game throwing 400 some yards passing, 4 TDs. Got Hunter out there catching a couple TDs. One of them was an absolute, I don't know how he caught the ball. It was pass interference for one in the corner of the end zone. And he still made the catch. They didn't call pass interference.
He was way out of position. He still got the flag.
I don't know how that happened. That was just an amazing catch.
He's a stud.
And the other catch was a pretty open field, a little bit of a push off. But if I guess he had 3 TDs because the other one was in the back of the end zone where the guy thought he was thrown down. I'm like that was maybe questionable. The push off looked like full extension, but listen, when I think about Shedeur, the guy's got an arm. If he has the protection up front, he's going to be able to get the ball away. They're going to look deep, or they'll look for those quick slants so the guys catch it over the field and run the ball. They got 3 really fast wide receivers. Hunter's not even, to me, their fastest receiver. Right. He might be their best hands, but when it comes to running and catching, their other 2 guys are gonna burn us, which we have to watch out for those crosses. Our linebackers are gonna have to be solid.
One thing, at least I noticed, and maybe I didn't watch him enough. I watched Colorado a few times. Obviously, we played him last year, but Shedeur stuck in there, and he took some hits to make some throws. And so, he's going to probably do that against us, too.
Yeah, well, I think we had 5 sacks last year.
At least 5, 7, something like that.
I wouldn't say he was better with ball protection in the game Thursday just because he didn't have a lot of pressure. So he didn't have to worry about getting the ball. I still don't think he's very fast, so he's not very elusive. But he can also throw on the run. So
he's not fast, but he's kind of shifty.
He's
weird.
Shifty. Yeah, he's weird, shifty.
We need to definitely get more. We need to get pressure on him more so than North Dakota State did.
And that's what I think we can do with our D line. If we can focus on getting the pressure in and collapsing that pocket where he kind of is unsure about what to do next, and we get him sweating a little bit, then we're going to start to see us kind of dominate on that defense. But if you don't give him pressure, he's going to get open. And those wide receivers are going to get open because they're good.
He, like you said, he's not the fastest in the world, but so it's managing the pressure with being able to contain him if he does break is going to be the thing that will make or break the game, I think.
Have a spy on him, depending on what kind of package you bring. If you need a spy, get a spy on him. Get Gifford out there as a spy. Or you drop your DN. Drop your DN as a spy.
Light him up a couple times.
But he can take a hit. From not Colorado State. What was it? The game last year where he got banged up pretty good.
Most of them.
Utah?
Most of them. It was another Colorado. It might have been Colorado State.
It was probably Colorado State, yeah.
They went to overtime. He got beat up in that game.
But he was still making the throws. So good on him for that. But that won't make your career very long if you sit in the pocket and just get smoked.
Yeah, and here's the thing: he's Deion's son. He's got the attitude. He is his dad. In a nutshell. It's funny. I think Shiloh probably has a better NFL future than Shedeur.
He's got
as a defensive player
on his shoulder.
He's got that nastiness.
He dirty a little bit.
He's nasty, but you look at NFL guys.
Better word.
He hits hard. He hits with a lot of authority. If he learns to play a little cleaner, NFL's going to love him. But I think he might be a better athlete than Shedeur. But Shedeur gets all the attention because he's got a first round, and that's all his dad talks about. His dad only talks about him and Hunter. So now what's going to happen? So Shedeur leaves after this year. He's a senior. He's gone. Hunter's probably gone too. What happens to Deion? Is Shiloh a junior?
No, he's a senior.
He's a senior too?
Oh, dang. Yeah, I don't know.
So does he stay?
Does Deion go to whichever NFL team's going to draft him?
Don't talk about the Cowboys. Don't talk about the Cowboys.
Yes.
There's been a lot of talk about him and Jerry Jones. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm like, man, if they...
McCarthy sucks.
Yeah, he does.
Deion. Maybe he'd be better than the pros. Maybe he'd be more tolerable.
Man. But I thought it was kind of funny. They don't have a run game still. Colorado does not have a run game. Their rush defense is still awful. So that's why I think this game could be a really good game. Hopefully we come out on top because we're going to be able to slice and dice their defense better than they're going to be able to slice and dice ours.
I think so.
They live and die by the long ball.
Yep.
And they're going to throw some long balls.
They will.
And they'll have some success with that.
We got some stellar safeties, so we got to play safety over the top, make sure we're playing smart defense, and again, watch their film from North Dakota State. They're going to bring the same game. They don't have another game. That is their game.
And the thing that would give me confidence about next week is similar to how North Dakota State played them. We had the ball for 38 and a half minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
And Colorado, they do not run. They do not care about running the football. They only throw. So if we can just control, like we can hold the ball and control the pacing of the game. North
Wear 'em
Dakota
down.
State, exactly, because North Dakota State did that for a majority of the game.
Yeah.
And it kind of got away from them late, and then they had to start throwing and get away from it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they still got pressure. Shooter Sanders has unreal awareness in the pocket.
Yeah.
But we have like North Dakota State they're good. I don't think it's a stretch by any means to say that we have much better athletes than them up front.
I would agree.
I would assume that like the pressure they got, we're going to be able to turn some of that like into sacks and things like that. But if we can control the ball and hold on to it, then I feel like that would be like a good foil to like how often they're going to want to just like look deep and just let it rip.
Totally.
Yeah, well, North Dakota State has athletes on their line. They're not as big and as huff and puff as like Polar Bear
They're
and
tough.
Ty Robinson.
They're hardworking guys. You know that's.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way. I mean, it can.
It does.
It did.
They're just not
But
going to get. They're just not going to get past guys that are bigger than them
just
that they can't
step
push around.
over the top with a little bit better athletes.
So I do agree. I think we can get more pressure. That's going to give us a tilt on defense, plus maintaining possession of the ball. We run the ball, control the possession, control the clock. That's going to help us and take us a long way in that game. And again, I think early we opened up as a 7-point favorite after Colorado barely won. I could see it probably staying around the same, at most going to a 10, but if we're favored by more than 10, I'd be shocked. I think 6-7 is probably where that line's going to probably end, and I think that's probably fair. I mean, we really gave it away in the second half last year. It wasn't even the first half. We gave them the ball in the first half in our side of the field 3 times in that second quarter, and they only got, like, I think 10 points out of it.
I mean, it was still
very
within score.
manageable.
So, if Dylan can stay poised, kind of a bigger game at home at night, it's gonna be a lot around the game. If he can keep focused and not get in his head, I think we win the game.
I do. I agree. I think it's all about Raiola's going to be a big factor, but I think our defensive pressure and our offensive line, I think, is much better than their defensive line. Their defensive line was not impressive against North Dakota State. They did better in the second half, but even then, like it's North Dakota State. They're not going to shove it down your throat like we tried to do. So how do we spread them out so we open up those holes, give protection to Dylan, and get the ball downfield? So I think we win that game.
I think we win.
So
I mean, you're going senior against a freshman quarterback. Under the lights, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm
Really
excited. I'm excited.
Really, I haven't been this excited for a game in a while.
If someone offers me tickets, I'm going. I don't care. I'm going.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go to
do
that.
that.
Are you going?
I'm going to that game.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
I'm
My wife,
jealous.
they have she has a tailgate for her company.
Oh,
so
nice.
we'll be there at that game.
Very nice. That'll be fun. Yeah. We if I got offered tickets for this last game, it was like yesterday, and I was like, I already had plans for the day. I'm not going to cancel my plans. We're going down for the Rutgers game, or at least Jimmy and I are, because Brian's bailing. But Jimmy and I are going to be there. You guys are welcome to join. So pay attention on our page. We're going down. We're going to tailgate. We'll have backswing brew there, everything. So, but yeah, it should be a fun game next weekend under the lights. First game for Dylan. Colorado's going to see those players are going to see something they've never seen before in their life. They couldn't even sell out their stadium for North Dakota State.
I know.
A lot of open seats. So they're going to see 90,000 fans under the lights going nuts for Nebraska.
It's gonna be different than it was last year.
It's going to be fun. So.
Well, and I mean, just Colorado last year, we kind of talked about this. Just looking at Colorado last year, it was just like a lot of hype around the team.
Yep.
It was like it didn't play out on the field. So I think the atmosphere is going to be totally different, and Nebraska fans show up. So
Especially with how Nebraska played this first week.
Yeah, there's gonna
and
be a
so
lot
people
of-
are excited every year, but
Yes.
now they're even more excited.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nuts.
Oh yeah, Percival asked questions. So our buddy Mike asked a
Mike,
question.
what's up, brother?
So our beginning of the season predictions, we did preseason on how we do throughout the year and what our final record would be. He asked if our predictions had changed after watching yesterday's game. So my prediction was either 8-4 or 9-3. Which usually I go 11-1 pretty much every year.
Yeah, I usually go
Usually
like
every year I'm like
10-2.
11-1. Let's
11-1 or
go.
10-2.
I drink a lot of Kool-Aid. It whacks up my blood sugar. Don't worry, but no, I'm always like 11-1. But this year I was like, 8-4, 9-3. I think it's very doable. After you're watching yesterday, I still think probably in our first 7 games, Rutgers is probably, outside of Colorado, Rutgers is going to be our biggest challenge. I mean, it's Shiano. Rutgers is Shiano. Shiano is Rutgers. Like, that is.
It's just hard-nosed football.
Einhorn is Finkel.
It's
Finkel is Einhorn.
Yeah, you just. I mean, it's gonna be a hard-nosed, tough-fought
It will be.
game. So, I said I thought we would lose either Rutgers at home or Indiana on the road,
Yep.
just because road game. I guess I kind of stand by that. I'm not really sure what Indiana did yesterday. I didn't really see.
They won. Indiana won, yeah.
Um,
Talk about that next year.
and then I had them losing to Ohio State on the road.
Yeah.
And then I said between USC, Wisconsin, and Iowa, we'd lose 2 of those games.
Yep.
So my pick was 8-4.
Yeah.
I'd say I'd probably stand by that. I
Yeah.
might be a little bit more optimistic to think 9-3 maybe, Mike. But
I think
I'll probably stay
next
with
week
8-4
might
right
change
now.
my opinion. If we go out and we win next week against Colorado, I'm thinking, again, we talked about potential for 7-0 to start the season. If we beat Colorado, I'm saying, yeah, we're 7-0. Like, I think still Rutgers is going to be our next big challenge, but I still think 7-0 is very doable for that Husker team, because that's just, again, night game at home, boost their confidence beating the Colorado team, again, who has a lot of hype, who still has a couple really good players on their team that can make a difference and win you games. And if we go in there and stop them at our home field and win that game, I'm like, all right, 7-0 is very doable going to Ohio State.
that'd be pretty insane.
It'd be amazing.
It would be.
Even if we're 6-1, that'd be amazing, losing to Rutgers.
Yeah. Ohio State's. It would be a confidence booster for the team, but Ohio State's still Ohio State.
Yeah.
They might play them more competitive, but it might be a better game. But
Yeah.
Ohio State's.
Ohio State's a $20 million bot team,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They're not a built team like the article let you believe. They're a bot. We all know that.
$20 million built team.
But they- yeah.
$20 million
Bot.
bot team.
But that's how it is now in college football. You're buying your teams. And I thought it was kind of funny. Saban yesterday on game day, I saw the quote. He said, if you're paying your guys, you better be paying the right guys. If you pay the wrong guys, you're screwed. If you pay the wrong guys to come play for you and they don't show up, you're screwed. Because now the colleges they're collecting money to pay the players. The colleges have that right now. It's not just your Lambos and Ferrari dealers. It's all these other people coming in. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens. And again, that landscape of college football is changing so much. So it'd be interesting to see how, again, that money game comes in for not just your Ohio States, but now other teams that are like, hey, we were 8-4 last year. I think we could be 10-2 next year. We got to get some players.
Yeah.
We're gonna start shelling out money, right?
Well, especially with some of the teams joining different conferences, like SMU.
Yep.
I mean, I think at one point they were paying, or they were giving each player like the same amount of money.
Yeah.
And before they were in a Power 5. Every player got X number of $38,000, which I know isn't a lot, but it can be
To a college student, it's
to
a
a
lot.
college
It's a good
student
amount of money.
who's been poor, his family's
That's a lot of money
poor,
to me.
whatever.
I think you that was
True.
Or they each get a truck.
Yeah.
You know, a brand new truck.
That was BYU.
That's probably worth
Yeah.
$80,000 or more.
Yeah.
You know. So now that there's more money to go around, they joined the ACC.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the rest of the Big Ten. So it's been kind of interesting. We still have one more Big Ten game tonight. USC takes on LSU in Vegas. We'll see how much they partied the last couple nights before tonight's game. But as far as the teams that really didn't have any trouble outside of Nebraska, Rutgers didn't have any trouble. It was like 44-0. Illinois didn't have any trouble. Penn State, I thought that was going to be a much bigger game against West Virginia in Blacksburg.
They
And then it went
West
like
Virginia's
34-12.
But
There was a delay.
and the start of the game was kind of weird, where they kind of had missed snaps back and forth, fumbling snaps,
Yeah.
and so they kind of had to feel it out to
slow
get
start.
going. Yeah, slow start for sure. Same thing with Iowa. That first half was
It was 3-0.
I hated watching that game.
atrocious.
I
I
hated
turned
I
it
was like,
off.
this is exactly an Iowa game.
I
They won
turned-
3-0.
I turned it off. I'm like,
3-0.
they're
I
the
said,
same. They're the same team. They're good on
Yeah.
defense, and their offenses can't figure it out. And then 40.
That was 40-0, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, sure.
Yeah, it was interesting. So Iowa didn't have any problem.
Guess they
Maryland,
made the right move.
Maryland didn't have any troubles.
Right,
Purdue
no.
didn't have any troubles. Purdue's quarterback was 24 for 25
Hudson
for
Card,
like
he's
200
good. Came from
and something
Texas.
yards. Like, he had a really good
He's a
game.
Texas transfer. He
Yeah,
was
really
good.
good game. Again, Ohio State, no trouble. Indiana, Washington, they all handled their business the way they should have.
Just like we did.
Now, the teams that didn't, Minnesota lost to North Carolina on a last-second field goal. That game, I can't believe I stayed up to watch that game. That was a horrible game on both sides of the ball. North Carolina loses their starting quarterback to an injury. They're back, and I don't think he was any good anyways, but their backup quarterback was really bad. Minnesota was just awful. Their offense, defense was just horrible. They kept giving each other the ball like, hey, I'm going to let you win. No, I don't want to win. I want you to win. No, I want you to, like, just horrible. The best part about the game was North Carolina's kicker knocked down 3 kicks outside of 45 yards and beyond. And one of them was the game winner. That was the only exciting part, was when he got kicked. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm watching Iowa. This is exciting football. Or he like kick it for the win. Like, that was exciting. But Minnesota was awful. They were so bad.
I was checking stat lines because, yes, I can't watch as much football as I'd like because I just had twins. But I looked at the stats and I was like, oh my gosh, both teams, like, quarterbacks were brutal, the run games were brutal. I was like, well, is this just 3 and out every single drive?
It was so bad. It was so bad.
So I obviously didn't get to watch much of it, but
so they lose their home opener at home. Wisconsin keeps it close with Western Michigan only winning by 2 scores, and that was
They were losing in the fourth quarter.
they were.
I didn't realize they were losing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So Wisconsin's kind of again. We'll talk about it here in a second, but so then Michigan State struggled with FAU, won 16-10. Northwestern beats Miami, Ohio 13-6. Oregon only wins by 10 over the Potato Boys in Idaho. UCLA wins 16-13 in Hawaii. And that quarterback, man, he talk about dumb decisions. He made some, like, I'm falling over and just wailing it in the air. One of them was an interception. The other one he got out of bounds, but that was bad. And then the other one that I was not impressed with, we haven't talked about, was Michigan. And as a Michigan fan, I'm sure you're on the same boat. 23-10, and Fresno State's driving the ball. They should probably score a touchdown here. Quarterback makes a really dumb pass to the outside. The guy jumps the route, returns it for a touchdown, 30-10 final score. But that game probably could have been 23-17 as a finish.
Yeah, that he jumped. I mean, he telegraphed that route.
He did.
Like, out of.
It was a great play. Fantastic
It's almost like he knew the play.
Oh, wow. Stallions is back on the sidelines.
But
Stallions calling in from a payphone like,
I
hey,
mean,
guys.
Didn't
for the-
Netflix just drop it?
But I mean, for the second year in a row, you're like, oh, there's going to be a quarterback battle. It's like, oh, great. We're not going to know what we're doing for the first 3 games, and it's going to be iffy. But run game still looks solid.
Yeah.
Defense was still there. It's just, I wish every season wasn't like we're going to have a quarterback battle. It's like, why can't we just figure it out in the by the Mason Blue game?
Yep.
And then, okay, this is our guy. And if he falls off the bandwagon, that's one thing. But the whole battle to open the season annoys me.
So Edwards was a little surprised for me. Like, he struggled to run the ball till really like the midway through the third quarter.
I can't remember. He broke for a touchdown. I don't remember what quarter it was in.
Who was the backup? The backup running back came in and was running the ball really hard too. I can't remember his name, but he ran the ball really well. But Edwards is a beast. We all know
Yes,
that.
he's the consistent from last year. And yeah, the biggest question mark with Michigan is the quarterback play. And
Yep.
I think you pointed out to me like the what was his name? Oh my gosh. He played last year, but he hadn't thrown a pass.
Oh, yeah. Alex
played-
Orgy was their
Orgy.
backup last
Yeah.
year, but he only threw 1 pass.
He's like a Tyson Hill. He comes in a Wildcat and he's fast.
Yeah.
He's hard to bring down.
Yeah.
He's a huge athletic dude who can run.
He's got the body of a tight end.
Exactly.
He's
So, like,
huge.
he threw a touchdown pass yesterday.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
But he threw 1 pass all of last season. But then he was the presumptive favorite to be their starting quarterback.
Really?
Yeah, but then it's like when he gets beat out by this guy who their guy who started was a preferred walk-on when he came to Michigan. He's been there for forever now. But it's like
wow.
then it's just can Alex Orgy just not?
I mean, I would watch Orgy play, and I'm like, man, this guy seems like a number 1. Maybe he's a run first guy, but he's probably the reason why they won the game yesterday. To be honest, just the way he ran the offense, third down plays, third and short. I mean, he was able to get the ball and really run the ball. I was like, wait, this isn't their starter.
So what's your prediction for their record this year?
Be honest.
I'm not sure how they play. Obviously, they play Ohio State at the end of the year.
Yeah, they might go 500. I think they're going to be worse than they're not going to play.
They'll have a drop off.
Yeah, they're going to have a drop off.
You don't play Penn State this year. I don't think you guys play.
Yeah. think so.
I think they played.
I think they do.
Yeah.
I
I
haven't
thought
pulled it up.
TJ said that.
I don't remember.
I can't remember, but I don't. I got a question mark still, and the Texas game probably isn't going to bring me any more confidence.
Is that
Texas next
is
week.
Is that this week?
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we talk about all those close scores in the Big Ten, and
week's fun.
I want to roll back to our question kind of at the beginning. We talked about how much do you overreact to that game one? No matter who you're playing, whether it's FCS, FBS, like at what point is the overreaction legit? And at what point is it like I need to take a step back as a fan and realize first game jitters or just first game, we have a new quarterback, we have a new coach, whatever it might be. Like, how much of a balance is that? And what do you guys think of that type of overreaction from some fans?
I would say that it depends on like the context of every game matters in terms of like coaching changes, new quarterbacks exactly.
Yep.
Like who are you playing? Are you at home? Are you on the road? Is it a neutral site game? Like Oregon. You look at Dylan Gabriel. We talked about this a little bit before we started.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel's stat line, he completed over 40 passes for 400 whatever yards.
You would have thought they
three
won like
touchdowns.
50 to 10.
Yeah, you would assume that they scored
Yeah.
40 something points and
Yeah.
won easy. They won by 10 and they scored 24 points. And A is just like a weird scoreline. You're like, that doesn't feel like.
It doesn't make sense.
That doesn't feel
Is it
like.
just like
how-
they've been hearing everybody talk about how
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
going to win
They're
the
number
national
3
championship
and they're
this
gonna
year,
beat Ohio
or
State.
They're going to beat Ohio State, and they just like we're playing Idaho, just kind of
Yeah.
walk,
Yeah.
So, like,
walk through.
that doesn't feel like how they're gonna actually end up being this
Yeah,
season. But
right.
then, like, if you look at like Florida State and Georgia Tech, that's like good on good in the first game of the season.
Yep.
And Georgia Tech looked very good, and Florida State looked iffy, like at best.
They look like
Where it's
that's who they are.
Yeah, where it's like with Oregon, I'd be like, I don't really know if my opinion of them has changed at all, but like watching a different game, like Florida State, like I feel like I can have a much more definitive opinion about what I think about Florida State now.
100%.
I kind of I get what you mean. Like Florida State like didn't look good. Like Oregon like had 380 passing yards.
Yeah.
You know that's still like okay, something was off. We're still we're still in the same trajectory.
They're not clicking
We won by
somewhere.
10.
Yeah. Where
We
it's
weren't.
like-
It was a game we didn't really care.
Yeah,
So
where it's like if like whatever you're expecting to happen doesn't actually happen, then you can kind of look at it and be like, why didn't it? Like, are they maybe not very good?
Yeah.
Or did like some weird thing happen? Whereas like with Nebraska, it'd be like my opinion of us hasn't changed really at all. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think the best way to talk about yesterday, like, everything that you would have expected to happen is like what occurred.
Yeah.
So I feel good about
Yeah.
everything, but I'm not.
Because it's rare that it happens.
It is, but I'm like, I'm not suddenly going to be like,
Yeah.
we're going to win 11 games.
Yeah.
And just like, we're unbeatable.
It's like that's a shot at me, but I'll take it.
well played, sir.
Yeah. But then you look at like Oklahoma. Oklahoma did what they needed to do, but Oklahoma's in a new conference.
Yes.
They're now playing the SEC, who best coverage of football. Again, that's just what all the media is going to tell you.
It's an overpaid conference.
It's a lot of
Who else
money.
do they have this year?
Most of their returners, defense, Billy Bowman Jr. And then Stutzman.
Okay.
That's going to be your best. And then we had a freshman linebacker who did all right. It was against Temple.
Right.
Last,
Well, who all do you? Sorry, who all do you guys have on the schedule?
Yeah.
Like,
Schedule?
do you have, do you have
Oh, so
Bama?
we got,
do you have Georgia?
No, I didn't see Georgia. I saw Auburn,
Okay.
Mizzou, Alabama.
Who's decent too.
LSU is our last game.
Okay.
Okay.
Tennessee. Yeah,
Tennessee.
Tennessee
Okay.
is the first. That's the first regular season, like regular schedule conference.
First conference
Yeah,
game.
it's the first conference
That'll
game.
be a good one.
I'm pretty confident that's a win because. Like I've
'Cause
watched,
you're an
I've watched
Oklahoma fan.
Because I'm an Oklahoma fan. I've seen Oklahoma play against SEC teams countless times.
These two are just like laughing. Like,
And
they love it.
Big Ten. They're Big Ten. I don't care about that. They're Big Ten. I don't.
Big Ten and no conference.
Yeah. Like we've played against Tennessee countless times before. We've beaten them many times. We've beaten Alabama before. Georgia was like the one team that was very skeptic because like they're brand new and they started getting better guys.
Yeah.
Like once you start
They
winning,
dominated
Yeah, they
Clemson
dominate
this weekend.
It's usually when a team is gonna win the Natty. more people are just going to go over there and they're just going to start accepting and they're going to train those guys better. But I'm pretty confident in Venables.
Okay. So what do you think your record's gonna be?
8-4.
Okay.
8-4.
Think they're gonna beat Texas?
Oh yeah. Kidding me? It's,
I mean, I would expect you to say that.
It's horns down. Saw them off
It's always horns
every
down.
year.
We're always one.
I strongly hate Texas, and they thought that they can come into the SEC and think that they need to go away. The whole Big 12 is ran by Texas.
Yeah.
By the whole state of Texas, that's Big 12.
I'm very curious to see. So, Texas and Oklahoma go into the SEC. So, when Nebraska left the Big 12 and joined the Big 10, I talked a lot of shit about the Big 10. And Nebraska went to the Big 10, and I was like, we're just going to roll it.
Shit.
And we didn't.
No.
And
We still
so
haven't.
We're curious to see how the Oregons do, how how the Washingtons do, UCLA, and USC as well. USC can score, but can they play defense? Can they get the big boys up front? Can you come in November to Iowa City and win? Probably not. I don't know. In my opinion, no. But
After
I'm
Lincoln
curious to
Riley,
see Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC, just to see how that plays.
I'm very curious on what to see after. I think it's going to be like Mizzou when they first entered the SEC. They thought they were going to dominate. Last year, best I've ever seen them play.
And Texas A&M
I'm worried
hasn't
about
been
them.
bad either.
I'm very worried. But they came into the SEC like Nebraska did. We're going to just steamroll y'all. It was bad. It just got worse and worse every year until last year. So they're trying to rebuild into a new old conference. They're trying to do the whole new scheme. Oklahoma has to do the same thing.
Well, and Texas and Oklahoma are bigger brands than
they're
than
real big
Mizzou
brands.
and even Texas A&M, in my opinion. But no, I'm really curious to see. So,
Well, and you look at talk about Notre Dame real quick. So Notre Dame
join a conference.
Notre Dame played Texas A&M last night, and that was a great game. But both offenses were not good.
Yeah.
Both offenses, to me, were very disappointing. Edged out, it was field goal. It was 6-6 at one point. Watts gets a big interception. I think that's when they ended up taking the lead shortly after that. Maybe it was that second half. I can't remember. Xavier Watts, Burke kid from Omaha. Hell of a good interception.
Really
But,
good. He's
I mean,
an interception machine.
both defenses played outstanding, but the offenses, again, it's like, did they play outstanding or were the offenses that bad? It's hard to tell when both offenses struggle that much if it is just a defensive game. But you look at the rest of Notre Dame's schedule. I mean, they got a very favorable
They do.
schedule
They-
for the
they're
rest
playoff
of the
bound
year.
for sure.
It's kind of funny.
It is
Watch
not
looking at
hard.
their schedule.
Yeah, it
it's
is
laughable.
Not, it is not hard.
The last game is who's their last game?
It's at USC.
At you, and that's
but
their
They
toughest
go,
game.
Yeah, and
USC
is
won't
like,
go to Notre Dame in the cold. So
And USC hasn't
And
matched
Stanford
up well
won't
against
either, so
Notre
they
Dame for a while.
alternate.
I think Notre Dame's gonna outbeat them that game.
Yeah, it's now like what looks like it might be the hardest game on their schedule. They play Georgia Tech in Atlanta.
Oh, dang. Okay.
So like,
Could be a good
but
one.
they have Florida State on there as well. But like, see what Florida State ends up being.
Yeah.
And like same thing with USC. Like USC could be really awesome, but they have a ton of question marks.
Oh yeah.
So like depending on how like Notre Dame's future opponents like shake out, the rest of their schedule could just be like
It looks like a
they could
cakewalk.
walk through it.
That game,
And then they'll be the
Texas
number
A&M
5 seed in the 12-team playoff.
Right. The game against Texas A&M, it was very, very Notre Dame like in a game that they normally win, or that they in a a top 25 matchup. Or it's like it's kind of back and forth, like either really good offense or really bad, and it was just like
Overall, it was just
were
like, I mean, it was a
waiting
fun
for their
game to
time.
watch.
Yeah.
They were just waiting for their
Yeah.
time, and then they took advantage when they did. They played solid defense, they run the ball, and they win the game. So that's what they did, and that was probably on paper maybe the toughest game they had all year.
Maybe.
Oh yeah,
We'll see.
Because the way that I just explained watching Notre Dame football for the last like 10 years is it's just a grind for 3 quarters, and then the game ends, and Notre Dame won by 10. So, like, with the exception of like their playoff games or like their games against Clemson, some of those have been kind of crazy. But yeah, their defense is unreal.
Solid.
They play good defense, and they have like one long touchdown run every game. 80 yards.
That's crazy.
They do.
Like, they're running their offensive line. Their left tackle and left guard had never started before last night. So like the false starts and everything that was going on there, not at all.
You cleaned it up.
I was gonna say I did from what little bit of the game I watched, I was like, man, there's a lot of penalties.
Yeah, there were
Both sides of the ball.
a ton of penalties.
He cleaned it up.
It was a messy game, but it was like Notre Dame has a good backfield. The question mark is like Riley Leonard can run. We all know that.
Yeah.
The question is like they brought in a bunch of receivers and like from the transfer portal, and like how good of a passer is he actually? And, like,
He was
how
pretty
much-
underwhelming yesterday.
He was.
Yeah.
He completed passes when they had to happen. So it's like that's like really what matters.
Yep.
But you also I want it to be better than that.
You do.
So, but like they don't play anything. They have a bunch of games in a row. Like, they have plenty of time to work it out and
Yeah.
figure themselves
Oh,
out.
yeah.
So
We'll see what happens.
yeah.
All right. Michigan, are they going to beat Ohio State?
No.
Yeah, I think Michigan's going to have a rough road.
I wouldn't put money on it. I mean, and they were kind of talking about this in the game once they finally got going. It was like there wasn't that much turnover from last year as far as the coaching staff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you don't have Harbaugh anymore, and with all the
Or
people that
Stallions. You're down two
Or
guys.
Stallions. But with all the people that went to the league, and I mean, he's got a So it's like so there's less turnover with the coaching staff, but you have to bring the new players along. And
Exactly.
also, as a coach, you want to have your own identity. So it's like, what is Sharon Moore going to do with the team to differentiate himself from Harbaugh, which he should try to do with all the stuff that they're probably going to charge this.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like Harbaugh, people went there for Harbaugh.
Yes.
They wanted to play for Harbaugh,
Yes.
so now he needs to get people who want to come play for him.
Yes.
And that's a big challenge
Yeah.
for any new coach. Is like, you wanted to play for this guy. Not only you committed to him and this team, how do I keep you here?
Yep.
Or how do I get you to believe in what I'm saying now?
Yep.
That's different from the other coach.
Well, and Michigan's a big brand, so it's
He's
easier
gotta build
it's
his own
easier-
brand as a
it's easier
coach.
to do that,
Yes.
but once you get them there, I mean, you have to keep them there.
Yeah.
Right? Like nowadays, guys want to play.
It's a challenge.
So if you're not playing, guys transfer.
Yep.
They
Well,
wanna
and
play.
Michigan's going to start. It's one of the things. Now you play NIL. Michigan's going to start saying, "Hey, where do we want to throw our money at?
Yeah.
Who do we want to throw our money at? Guys hitting the transfer portal, or who can we talk to behind the scenes, which you know is happening? Every school's
100%.
doing it. So who are we talking to get come play for us? That's not going to out us and say, like, hey, they've been talking to me like the Colorado State guys did. Like, hey, these people offered me $600,000, but I'm staying here.
Honestly, I don't even think they care. I don't even think they care because
No,
what
nothing's
happens
happened
is,
so far.
and what I always like to say is, you can't take away the feeling from when you won that game, right? Or when you won that championship, or when you won that Heisman Trophy. Sure, take my trophy,
Yeah.
but you can't take it away. The feeling
The performance.
I had, it stripped me of a national championship. You can't take it away.
Yeah.
The feeling I had,
Yeah.
right? As a fan or as a player.
Yeah.
So they're still gonna
Yeah.
do shady stuff.
Oh yeah, it's every team's doing it. It's part of the game now. It's just more out in the open now.
We were talking about this earlier. I was like, they basically did what they copied Jim Tressel when he was at Ohio State to win, and it worked. And so now it's like, but Michigan has this, we want to be upstanding. I mean, it didn't work in the modern era, and so you did something that did work, and you get the slap on the wrist, and you hoist your trophy. I mean,
Exactly,
at the end
yeah.
of the day.
That's what it is. And they're still a complete team.
Yeah.
I mean, they were still a really good team last year. So, well, fantastic. Well, boys, you guys anything else you want to talk about before we end the show?
You said you were a Dallas fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan. Unfortunately.
How you feel about that Lions win the win against the Lions last year? Did he report or no?
I don't even remember it, to be honest. I'm way more of a college football game than I watch pro football all day. I watch the Cowboys, but I also know what to expect from the Cowboys.
Fair enough.
You're talking about like when they got their ass whooped and it was like 40-10 at half or something like that. That game.
No. It was
Game that went into
the game. It went into overtime because the Lions got the ball. They should have kicked the field goal to tie it. They tried to go for it.
I remember the game.
Taylor Decker reported.
That's
but
right.
he
Oh
didn't
yeah,
report.
yeah.
They
They
scored
called
a
it
touchdown, but they
back.
called it back.
They called
Yeah.
it back,
I mean,
all
it is
right.
what it is. But I
Yeah.
think Lions have much more of an upside than the Cowboys do right now. So that's all I gotta say about that.
Fair enough. All right.
I'm a Cowboys fan. I know what I'm getting every year. So All right, fellas. Hey, I appreciate you guys being on the show. Thanks for beating us at trivia. Thanks for having me on the show again. It's nice to have just regular fans on the show, average guys like us on the show.
I'm impressed, guys.
Enjoy some football.
You guys were well spoken.
Yeah, it was fun. I appreciate you coming on the
It was a
show.
lot of fun to kind of
Good luck
bounce
to your
off you
Oklahoma.
guys.
Good luck to your Michigan. Good luck to your Notre Dame, and obviously the Huskers. Go Big Red as always. I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're two average guys. Cheers. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks everyone who joined.
Tennessee.
Yeah, I think so.
What are you doing?
Tim's like, what the hell? Did you just say what I thought you said?
Come on, good game, everybody.
So you're gonna beat Texas.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think the score is gonna be?
And
Oh my God.
That one's going to be a close game.
So you're gonna go 8-4, but you're gonna beat Tennessee and Texas.
So who are you
Who
losing?
are you gonna lose?
LSU. Ole Miss.
Okay.
Ole Miss is a confident one.
That was fun.
Missouri probably.
Did you see the Ole Miss quarterback stats?
Talk about Oklahoma and Michigan and everything. Like, talk about different things. So it was fun.
Gives it a little more.
Maybe Auburn.
Because it's hard
It's a maybe.
Oh, no,
We should have. Yeah, we should have. But it's a maybe.
They find a way to win.
Yeah.
They're going to that outside and help out a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
that was really fun. You guys know your shit too. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Good luck. I really do hope Oklahoma does well.
I hope so too. Honestly, he might be.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay.
First week.
I'm 36, but like I don't have like the hatred for Oklahoma as like like my dad does, or like a little bit older generations.
But it's good to see stuff like this.
Like when I was a kid, like we won. You know, we're back and forth, so it's never like, oh, we lost. So I was I like the Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was it wasn't Nebraska.
We'll go to him.
I've been finding a lot more Oklahoma fans every time that just moving through here, so it's very strange. Like the MUD
Like we hit
guys.
Colorado more,
Yeah.
because when I was a kid, we played Colorado as our last game, not Oklahoma.
No.
So
But it's like my dad was an OU fan from like '74 because he liked to piss off his brother.
okay.
So that's a true story too.
No, that's a Friday night.
And then
Okay,
when I was
you got
born, my dad just threw me into it. So I just started being an Oklahoma fan. But I've been to more Nebraska games. I've been to Oklahoma games in my life.
I've been to one. Well, okay.
Shake the
So
whole
I've
thing
never
right
been to
out
a
and go,
Husker away
all right,
game.
how about if
I went to the Big 12 championship in
So they're going to be out here. They're supposed to be out here for that game.
07. Is that Arrowhead?
Pushing on that.
It was the coolest I've ever been in my life. We were in the top row. We played Oklahoma. Fumbled on the first play of the game.
Exactly.
It was all
But I mean,
downhill
it
from
could
there.
be something, depending on where your family
So yeah, I mean,
too.
I don't know. I'm kind of, I would kind of.